We welcome you back one last time to the Lemming Report as we take a look at Tom's top 10 uncommitted players, brought to you by American Family Insurance. And heading the list is defensive tackle Marvin Wilson, third overall in the class, the only prospect who remains uncommitted in Tom's top 10. Plenty of other talent still available all over the field. There are schools that they're considering listed in alphabetical order, but you got a pair at wide receiver, running back, and offensive tackle, along with linebacker Jerez Parks, athlete James Robinson, safety Devin Hunter. And now that we know who's still left on the board, and with signing day fast approaching, it's time to look into Tom's crystal ball to find out where these players might be headed. Let's start with Marvin Wilson. The Texas native is considering Florida State, LSU, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and get this, South Florida. Now that Charlie Strong is with the Bulls, will he land at long shot USF? Tom, what do you think? Crystal ball.
I would have to guess LSU, and the reason is Ed Orgeron's been recruiting him as the D-line coach at LSU, and now as the head coach, and developed a great relationship with him. Not that the other schools haven't, but I do think that, Houston's not that far from Baton Rouge, and I think he's been there several times already, and he's developed quite a relationship with Ed Orgeron. And this is an impact defensive tackle, and Orgeron's developed a good number of impact defensive tackles at Miami, at USC, at Tennessee, and Ole Miss. So I think that Marvin eventually will wind up at LSU.
All right, next up, wide receiver Joseph Lewis, the California native, considering Alabama, Oregon, Oklahoma, USC, and Nebraska. Now, the Cornhuskers just received a big commitment from Tyjon Lindsey. Do they double down and get another top 30 recruit, Tom?
No, I don't see him going to Nebraska. I see him going to USC. I've met with Joseph the last couple of years at his high school, and then he came out to meet me out at UCLA, and he told me each year that he grew up as a USC Trojan fan. And normally you come full circle in recruiting, and I think eventually after he takes all his visits, he'll wind up in Los Angeles and playing for the USC Trojans.
All right, let's do another one here. Everyone needs offensive line help. Florida native Darrell Slayton Jr. is the top one available. He's 56th overall in the class, considering Clemson, Florida, Kentucky, Miami, and Michigan. Does Dabo reel him in, Tom?
I think, Clemson, Florida are tough to bring in, tough to turn down, but his coach is Pat Surtain, who's had a great history at the University of Miami, and I think that eventually the Hurricanes could surprise people and beat out Clemson and Florida for him. I do know when I saw him last year, he was just coming back from a visit from Miami, and I think he did a terrific job of. His coach has done a good job of developing the ball players, not only for the Hurricanes, but letting Florida and everybody else get a shot at him. And of course, the Wolverines are a long shot.
Yeah, and so Mark Richt, of course, is trying to have a major impact here with this full year to get a recruiting class together with the Hurricanes. All right, one more. We have time for one more. Anthony McFarland, 36th overall in the class. He is a Maryland native, considering the Terps, along with Alabama and Miami here again. Do you think he stays close to home, Tom? Maryland needs help.
Yeah, you know what? And I've seen Anthony since his great freshman year at DeMatha High School, and I do know, his high school is only about a mile from the University of Maryland, and he spent a lot of time there. And Maryland has done a great job of cultivating, not only him and his family's, interest in, in the Terrapins. Of course, it's tough to turn down Alabama. It's tough to turn down Miami. But I think Maryland needs him more than any of the other schools. And Alabama already has Najee Harris coming in for this season, for this next season. I think McFarland would better serve himself, and I think he's thinking the same thing, where he'll wind up as a Terrapin.
I'll ask you this to wrap up the show. Do running backs in general want to go where they're going to get a lot of reps, or do they want to go where they're going to be part of a stable and not put too many miles on the odometer?
I think they'd like to be the key guy and get a lot of reps. Talking to a lot of these backs, and Alabama usually plays them a lot of time. But I do think that schools like Maryland has sold him on the fact that he'll be the impact guy as soon as he comes in as a freshman.